Good day, everyone, and our topic for this day is about quadratic functions. Our objective is to illustrate the quadratic functions in equations, table of values, and in graphs. Before we proceed our lesson, let us observe the given pictures in the next slides. Here, what can you say about the pattern or the line that is formed as Carlo shoots the ball in the basketball ring? How about this? What can you say about the form of these structures? Yes, you are correct. Those structures have curved lines. In different fields of studies like science, technology, and especially engineering, we usually encounter problems that require nonlinear solutions. From these pictures given here, hindi basta-basta ang paggawa ng architectural buildings and infrastructures. Ito ay pinag-aralan na may tamang sukat at tatag sa tulong ng kapangyarihan ng science. In this case, quadratic functions take place with parabolic lines. Now, let us define quadratic functions. Quadratic functions in equations. Quadratic function, it is in second degree polynomial in the form of y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, or f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0 and a, b, and c are real numbers. In quadratic functions, there would be a variable y, and that y can be rewritten as f of x. Some examples of quadratic functions, so we have f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 6x plus 3. We have also f of x is equal to 5 times the quantity of x plus 2 squared plus 1. Another, we have f of x or y is equal to x squared minus 5, and f of x is equal to 2x times the quantity of x plus 3 minus 1. Again, our idea about quadratic functions is that one side of the equation must be f of x or y. It is in second degree polynomial, and a should not be 0. The equations of quadratic functions, so we have the general form of equation, and then we have also the vertex form of equation. For a given of f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, we are going to transform it into vertex form, such as we have this f of x is equal to a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. In vertex form of equation, there is a vertex point that is present in this equation, which is represented as h comma k. For example, we have this function f of x is equal to x squared minus 6x minus 6, and we are going to represent it, and then we are going to transform it into vertex form. And then we will have f of x is equal to x minus 3 squared minus 15. In here, the vertex is present. We have 3 and negative 15. And another one, if we have this function, f of x is equal to 4x squared plus 8x minus 6. And when we transformed it into vertex form of equation, we will obtain f of x is equal to 4 times the quantity of x plus 1 squared. We have f of x is equal to 4 times the quantity of x plus 1 squared minus 10. I do hope that you understand the quadratic functions in equations. This time, how about if we have quadratic functions in table of values? Which of the following table of values represent a quadratic functions? So we have 4 sets of values of x and y. We have this table of values, and we have to identify which among them are quadratic functions. Let us start with the first table. We have values of x, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. We have also values of y. We have 1, -2, -3, -2, and 1. To determine if this is a quadratic function or not, let us check the values of x. Okay, so titingnan natin ang differences ng values ng x sa isa't isa. Kung yan ay pare-parehas ng differences sa values ng x, wala tayong magiging problema kay x. And then we have to solve for the y. Okay, so anong gagawin sa -2 to obtain -1? So we are going to add +1. Anong gagawin kay -1 to obtain 0? So we are going to add +1. As well as we have this and this. As you can see, pare-parehas ang differences natin kay x. So let us check naman dun kay y. Pagdating kay y, kukunin din natin yung differences katulad ng ginawa natin sa values ng x. And kailangan ma-obtain natin yung common differences kay y. Anong gagawin natin kay 1 to obtain -2? We are going to subtract 3. Okay? And then also, anong gagawin natin kay -2 to obtain -3? Okay, so we are going to subtract 1. Anong gagawin natin kay -3 to obtain -2? Okay, so in here, we are going to add +1. And then, anong gagawin natin kay -2 to obtain 1? We are going to add +3. Okay, so as you can see on the first differences of y, magkakaiba sila. Let us check naman doon sa pangalawang set ng differences ng y mula kay -3, -1, +1, and +3. Anong gagawin natin kay -3 to obtain -1? Okay, so we are going to add +2. Okay, and then anong gagawin natin kay -1 to obtain +1? We are going to add 2. Okay, and then also, anong gagawin natin kay +1 to obtain 3? Again, we are going to add 2. So, from the second differences of y, meron na tayong pare-parehas na difference. So, in quadratic functions, kapag nagpare-parehas na, doon sa pangalawang set ng differences ng y, we would say that this table of functions, we would say that this table of values represents a quadratic function. Therefore, this table of values represents a quadratic function. Table number 2. How about if we have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2 for the values of x, and we have 8, 5, 2, -1, and -4. As you can see, on the values of x, sunod-sunod siya. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So, kapag ganyan na sunod-sunod, wala tayong problema kay x. Okay, this time, let us get the differences of y. Okay, we have 8 and 5. Okay, so we have -3. Okay, and then here, ang gagawin natin kay 5 to obtain 2? Again, -3. Okay, and then anong gagawin natin kay 2 to obtain -1? Again, minus natin kay 3. Okay, and then next, anong gagawin natin kay -1 to obtain -4? Of course, -3. Okay, so let us observe the differences on the first set ng differences kay y. As you can see, pare-parehas na yung differences ng y natin do sa first set. And kapag ganun ang nangyari, ibig sabihin yung given table natin is not quadratic function. Okay, so kapag meron kayo nakitang ganyan, na pare-parehas ng differences sa values ng y natin, hindi siya quadratic function, merely it is a linear function. Kapag ito ay grinaph natin, makakapag-obtain tayo ng straight line. And when we obtain a straight line, of course, that is not a quadratic function. table number 3 and table number 4 are left to the viewers. Values of x here ay magkakasunod. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And dito sa table number 4 ay magkakasunod din. Yung difference natin dito ay plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, and plus 2. Quadratic functions in graph. So these are some of examples of quadratic functions in graph. As you can see, we have one curved line. Para siya pinaghalong letter U and letter V. And lahat ng quadratic functions sa graph ay merong vertex, axis of symmetry, opening of the parabola, and x and y intercepts. For example, we have this graph, and this graph has an equation of f of x is equal to quantity x minus 3 squared minus 4. And another graph, which has an equation of f of x is equal to negative of quantity x plus 1 squared plus 4. Lahat ng quadratic functions ay meron tayong tinatawag na vertex point. Vertex point, it is the turning point of the parabola. It is represented by h, k. In these two graphs, we have this vertex dito sa first graph na 3, negative 4. Okay, and then in the second graph, we have this vertex of negative 1, positive 4. Next, we have the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry, that is a vertical line that passes through the vertex. The axis of symmetry, ito yung naghahati sa parabola into two equal parts. In such a way, parehas dapat yung magkabila ang part ng parabola. So in here, yung ating axis of symmetry sa first graph natin. So again, this is a vertical line, imaginary line, na dadaan sa vertex. Okay, and then to know the equation of the axis of symmetry, let us check the number na nag-intersect dun sa ating line para kay x-axis. So, in here, we have x is equal to, since yung axis of symmetry natin ay tumama sa positive 3 ng x-axis, so x is equal to positive 3. X is equal to 3, that is the equation of the axis of symmetry for the first graph. In the second graph, the axis of symmetry here, x is equal to, since yung line natin ay nag-intersect sa negative 1 ng x-axis, so the equation of the axis of symmetry is x is equal to negative 1. Next, we have the direction of the graph. Since we are dealing with quadratic functions, yung direction ng graph natin, it is either upward or downward. Ito ay depende sa sign ng a natin sa equation. Next, we have the x and y intercept. When we have the x-intercept, ito yung mga points na dadaan mula doon sa ating parabola sa x-axis. So, in here, in the first graph natin, ang x-intercept natin ay na kay 1 and positive 5. Sa second graph, ang x-intercepts natin ay na kay negative 3 and positive 1. Minsan, sa parabola natin, sa quadratic functions, meron tayong dalawa na x-intercepts. Minsan, merong isa kung yung vertex natin ay nakay x-axis. Meron ding walang x-intercept. Ibig sabihin, hindi tumama yung parabola natin doon sa x-axis. We have also the y-intercepts. Sa y-intercept, there is only one y-intercept dun sa quadratic functions. So, in the first graph, ang ating y-intercept ay nakay 5. Okay? And then, doon sa second graph natin, ang y-intercept ay nakay 3. Now, let us have the equation and let us observe the direction of the graph and the vertex of the parabola. If A is positive, okay, from this given, A here is positive, yung number before the open parenthesis. If it is positive, therefore, yung direction of the graph natin opens upward. And since yung vertex natin ay nasa pinakababang part ng parabola, therefore, we serve the vertex as the minimum point. Palaging ganon. Kapag ang graph natin opens upward, we serve the vertex as the minimum point of the function. Okay, and then if the value of A here is a negative, and another is kapag meron tayong -2, -3 dito sa before ng open parenthesis, okay, so therefore A is a negative. And if A is negative there, the direction of the graph is opens downward. And if our graph opens downward, yung vertex natin is pinakamataas doon sa part ng parabola. Okay, dito siya sa pinakamataas na part ng parabola. So, we serve the vertex as the maximum point of the function. Okay, so I do hope that you have the idea about the quadratic functions in the graph. Now, in quadratic functions, when in terms of equations, as we go back from its equation, again, we have the vertex form of equation in the form of f of x is equal to a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. Please be reminded that a is placed before ng open parenthesis, yung h ay nasa loob ng open and close parenthesis, and k, that is the constant term of the equation. From the vertex form of equation, we have to identify what is A and the vertex point. Okay, so for example, we have this equation or function, f of x is equal to quantity x minus 3 squared minus 15. Again, to identify A, we have to find the number before the open parenthesis. Since wala tayong number na nakalagay dyan, automatic na yung value ng A natin is 1. For the vertex, we have a point, so therefore we have open and close parentheses. There is a comma between those numbers of h and k. To get the value of h, kapag ang given natin dito is a minus 3, pagdating kay value ng h, siya ay magiging positive 3. Please be reminded na magbabago lang ng sign pagdating kay h. When it comes to k, whatever the sign here, dapat as is yun dun sa vertex natin kay k. So if we have minus 15, therefore the value of k here is a negative 15. Next, how about if we have f of x is equal to negative 4 times the quantity of x plus 1 squared minus 10. Here, a is negative 4. And then our vertex is, since positive dun kay h natin sa loob ng open and close parenthesis, so we will have minus 1. Iibahin natin ang sign. And then as is tayo pagdating dun sa k, so minus 10. So the vertex point of this graph or this function is a negative 1, negative 10. Next, we have f of x is equal to 8 times the quantity of x minus 11 squared plus 10. A here is 8, and then the vertex point is 11, positive 10. And then we have f of x is equal to negative 2 times the quantity of x plus 2 squared minus 10. A here is a negative 2, and the vertex is negative 2, negative 10. Okay? Madali lang. Yung pagkuha ng A and yung vertex natin from the vertex form of equation. So how about if we have this kind of form of equations? If we have f of x is equal to quantity x plus 2 squared, how can we determine the value of a and the vertex point of the function? So again, from this, a is 1 since wala tayong number dyan sa before ng open parenthesis. And to get the vertex, again, makikita natin ang h sa loob ng open and close parenthesis. And we have plus 2. Pagdating kay vertex, we have minus 2. And since wala tayong nakitang number dyan, constant term sa vertex form, automatic na yung k natin dyan is 0. Okay? Next, how about if we have f of x is equal to 1/2, negative 1/2 times the quantity of x minus 1 squared. So a here is a negative 1/2 and the vertex is 1, 0. Okay, next, how about if we have f of x is equal to x squared plus 3. X squared plus 3. Okay, in here, a is 1. Okay, so please be reminded that a is a numerical coefficient of x squared. Okay, and then to get the vertex, h, k, since wala tayong nakitang open and close parenthesis for this form of equation, automatically h natin dyan is 0. And the constant term here is 3. So therefore, k is 3. Next, how about if we have f of x is equal to negative 3x squared plus 9. Okay? If we have f of x is equal to negative 3x squared plus 9. So a here is a negative 3, of course. And the vertex here, ang h natin, since wala tayong nakitang open and close parenthesis, the present dito sa equation, hi 0. Okay, and then for our k, as is tayo dyan, so 9. So kapag ang 9 natin dyan is minus, pagdating kay k, magiging negative 9. Okay, so I do hope that you learned about determining the values of a and the vertex point given the vertex form of the equation. For our activity, determine the a and the vertex point which is h, k of the quadratic functions below. Pause this video for 10 minutes in answering this activity. To end this video, I want to share one quote from Saint Joseph Marello. Not only is the humility the guardian of purity, it is also the safeguard of the precious gift of faith. Thank you and God bless.